friends, welcome back to Meadowsweet Farm Fiber Arts Design Studio. My name's Bonnie and today's date is Saturday, November 29th, and believe it or not, it is really dark, getting dark outside, and it's only 4:56. So thank you so much for joining me. This is a brand new series that I'm putting together, and it's called From Farm to Fabric. And I'd like to share with you all the years that I've collected all kinds of information about spinning and weaving and all the fiber arts. And so I thought I would take you from the very beginning, from the basics. And today what I'd like to share with you is how to pick out a fleece. How to pick out a fleece at a fiber arts event or a fiber arts festival, what to look for, how to plan. And so I'd like to share with you the knowledge that I have. I was the judge for many, many years at the Washington County Fair, and I judged the hand spinning fleece for many years. So I think I have a little tiny bit of experience. I'm not an expert, but I do have some experience in looking at fleeces and processing them. So I'd like to share the information that I've gathered over the years. So I'd like to start out and just begin to tell you, since I live in southwestern Pennsylvania, and if you notice me looking down, I'm going to be reading a few things to you, but since I live here in southwestern Pennsylvania, I thought I'd share a little bit of sheep history with you. And southwestern Pennsylvania once led the nation in fine merino wool. For generations, farmers, mills, and artisans here transformed raw fleece into fabric of the everyday life. So we've been processing fleece, and from what I understand in the books that I've read, I believe that there were probably at one point in the 1800s probably more sheep in the pastures and more sheep in this little community than people. So, and I don't think that that's a very uncommon thing around the state of Pennsylvania and other areas. So Meadowsweet Farm is going to be presenting a new series, From Farm to Fabric, and I'm going to take you behind the scenes so that you are going to see the fiber traditions. We're going to explore wool, alpaca, mohair, flax, silk, and I'll see the whole process. I'll take you through the whole process of turning raw fiber into yarn. I'd like you to meet some of the producers, historians, and artists who keep these crafts alive. So today I'm going to take you, as I said, I'm going to take you through the process of how to pick out your very first fleece so that you can process it and spin it into beautiful yarn and eventually make something absolutely beautiful for yourself or for a family member. So I'm drinking my tea, and this is from Fordham and Mason, and this is Queen Anne. So this is my tea. It's very cold out today, so I'm gonna take a little slurp. So I'd like to start off, I'm going to share a couple books with you in case you're interested. And one of the very first things, when you make the decision that you are going to purchase a fleece, one of the first things you have to think about is, what are you going to use this fleece for? Do you have an end product in mind? Do you have something that you'd really be interested in making? So that's number one. And so just to share with you a couple books, this is, I think, for all people who are interested in spinning their own raw fleece, this is an amazing book. And even if you're a hand knitter or hand weaver And you want to know what the different properties of wool and the different breeds and what they produce. This is an excellent, excellent book. This is a book, it's the Fleece and Fiber, Deborah, Robson, and Carol, I'm not going to pronounce her name right, Ekarius, Ekarius. So these women, they did an absolutely excellent job of looking at as many different breeds as possible. So they looked at the different breeds, they looked at the different properties that the different breeds produced, the different sheep breeds produced, and then gave a little bit of information about the different colors that the breed produces, the characteristics of the lock, different ways of spinning the fibers. So this book is really an encyclopedia of the different breeds and how you would spin them and what you would use their fleece for. So I think if you are going to purchase a fleece at a festival, the very first thing you want to consider is what are you going to make and what breed of sheep is going to give you the best garment, the best finished piece with that fleece. So those things kind of go hand in hand. So this is a great book I highly recommend this if you're if you're getting serious into this, but this is pretty heavy. So what I would recommend, if you're not really sure, this is an excellent book to put in your tote bag when you go to a fiber festival. This is the Field Guide to Fleece, and it's 100 sheep breeds and how to use their fibers. So this is kind of a handy dandy if you're not really sure and you're looking at all the different fleeces that they have on the table when you go to look. This is a great book that you can kind of start with and just kind of quickly thumb through. Okay, so this one is The Field Guide to Fleece, and again, same author, Deborah Robson and Carol Ekarius. Okay, so they've done an excellent, excellent job. So the other books that I would recommend, I'm not sure if this book is even in print. You might have to look at used books. This is a book, and this is a woman. I have her video. Her name is Mabel Ross, the Encyclopedia of Handspinning. And as I said in my video before, Mabel was a PhD mathematician. And she has a video that she produced where she was so meticulous about counting treadles, how many twists in one treadle that you get per inch, or she was very, very, very exact. And so this book talks about the different types of spinning wheels. It talks about different fibers and the different types of yarns that you might be able to produce with just a small variety of sheep breeds in here. Excellent book. If you get your hands on the video, it is a great video. I remember sitting when my daughter Jacqueline was about 2 years old. Early in the morning, I would just sit with my spinning wheel and just watch her hands, watch her feet, and I would just replay over and over again until I finally got it. So this is a really, really good book to have. This book is by Sarah Anderson, The Spinner's Book of Yarn Designs. I just got this. I think it's a fairly new book. I really haven't even had a chance to look at it. Let's see, when was this published. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I think if you are interested in spinning a variety of different yarns, I think this would be an excellent book to have in your library as well. Okay. So I'm going to move my tea over here. So what I have here is a fleece. Now, I'll lift this up so you can see. I was vending at the Pennsylvania, the very first Pennsylvania Sheep and Wool Festival. And there was a gentleman that sat across from me. And this is Blue-Faced Luster. Okay, and I think this is a pound. And I don't have the tag, but I know it is BFL, which is Blue-Faced Luster. And so when you look at this, there's lots of things that you want to initially look for. So when you go to the festival, there's going to be tables and tables and tables filled with raw fleece. And they're going to have the name of the breed on them and probably the person that, the name of the farm or the person. So the very first thing that most people want to do when they look at a fleece is they want to start picking at it. And I would highly recommend that you ask first before you start pulling locks apart if it's okay that you take a lock or that you look at the fleece. So that's number one. I wouldn't touch it and start picking at it until I had permission from somebody that it was okay to examine the fleece. So the first thing, as you can see with this fleece, is it's got a nice crimp, and let's pull this. Let's pull one apart. So we can look at it and we can see, this would be the tip. Okay, so that's the tip end of the fleece, and that is, that's the top part of the fleece. That is, that would definitely get all the weather and the elements and the sun and so on. So this would be considered the butt end, the cut end. So this is where they cut, where they sheared, okay? And so what you can see is this is, it's got a staple length, probably, let's see, 1, 2, maybe 3 inches long, and it's wavy. Okay, so the crimp is wavy. So Blue-Faced Luster is, it's a nice long staple to spin. Okay, so when you are looking at the fleece to purchase, the next thing that you're going to do is you're gonna smell, okay? And what you're smelling for, what you're trying to detect, of course it's gonna have that lanolin sheepy smell that I absolutely love, and I think anybody who's going to be processing their own fleece definitely likes that smell as well. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that it doesn't have a moldy or musty smell. So you want to stay away from anything that maybe got damp. and you know, for some reason got moldy. So that's something that you definitely want to look for. Okay, so the two things is, the first, you want to look at the lock, okay, and see. Then the next thing that you can do just with this one little lock is you want to check and see the stability of the fleece. So you can put this up to your ear, and what you're listening for, you're going to hear a ping sound. But if you hear, like, it sounds like it's like brittle or breaking, that's something, a fleece that you want to stay away from. Sometimes if the fleece, if there could be a sickness in the animal, or something happens where the fleece gets damaged in some way, where it stops growing a little bit or gets weakened, probably is a better way of putting it. If the animal is sick, you would hear that in a certain part of that growth area, the fibers are going to get weakened in the spot where the animal got sick, in that growth, in the growth of the fiber. So you want to take a listen, and if you hear anything other than a ping, if you hear it sounds like something's, you know, not breaking like glass, but just kind of a break in the fleece other than the ping, then that might be something that you might want to stay away from, that fleece. Okay, so the next thing is, if you're allowed to kind of pull the fleece, you know, if it's in a bag, you might want to start to kind of just examine very gently and see, are all the staples pretty consistent, the length of the fibers. Sometimes the shearer might accidentally, you know, they're supposed to just do one full pass of the clippers, and if they make second passes, then you might see tinier little locks of fiber, and those are called second cuts. So you want to look at the fleece, and you don't want to have very many of those second cuts, if any at all. So you want to examine the fleece and make sure that the crimp is, or the staple is pretty even throughout. Okay, so this is so beautiful to touch. The next thing is, if you can gently, again, kind of open up the fleece as much as you can on the table. I'm not sure about how you would go about opening that up. You would probably have to get permission to open the whole fleece up. But the one thing that you want to check for is there a lot of vegetation in there? There's a little bit of grass. If there's some, of course you're going to have some, but you certainly don't want to have a fleece that is just riddled with hay and vegetable matter. You certainly don't want that. So you want it to be as clean as you can possibly get. Okay. The next thing is, you want to look at the luster of the lock. Is it shiny? So you want to look, and this is actually glistening. This is a beautiful, beautiful lock. If you're able to open it up, you want to look for, you know, did they skirt it well? Did they remove all of the areas that maybe might have waste material from the sheep? So some BM or just dirty, really dirty spots that might make it difficult for you, when you start to wash the fleece. So those are all things that when you want to begin to look at a fleece, those are some things that you want to consider. First of all, you want to take a look at the different breeds and consider the project that you're going to be working on. Do you have a specific project in mind, or are you just interested in trying a specific breed? Maybe you might want to start off and say, well, I think I'm going to go with the Shetland. That's a small fleece. They usually produce a smaller fleece, and that might be a beginning fiber for you to try. These BFLs, Blue Face Luster, these are great because they're a longer staple, and this would be easy for a beginner spinner to spin. So this would make a great fiber if you're interested in just going through the process and you want to just pick out your very first fleece without a project in mind. That might be something to consider. The next thing is you want to check for stability of the fleece, and check and make sure that there's not any second cuts. And you also want to check and make sure that the staples are sound and there's not any breakage whenever you test the fleece by snapping it like this. You want to make sure that the staples length of each lock, they're pretty consistent. And again, you want to make sure that there's not any pilling. You want to make sure that there isn't any felted areas in the fleece. And you also want to make sure, as far as the smell goes, that it doesn't smell moldy or particularly dirty. The lanolin sheepy smell is always very nice, but any kind of odor that is outside of that smell, you want to be careful with those fleeces. So, and if the breeder is there, you could ask questions, about the sheep that this came from. Lots of new spinners like to know what the sheep's name is and how old, maybe a cute little story about the animal. Some breeders even have the sheep's picture that would go with the fleece. So those are just also some added benefits that you could consider whenever you're purchasing a fleece. So whether you go to somebody's farm or whether you go to a festival, those are all things that you want to consider. So I hope this was helpful as we move through the farm to fiber. I hope that I gave you a little bit of insight into what to look for, what to expect whenever you're picking out your very, very first fleece. So, okay, friends, well, I will see you next time with the next step as we move forward into the farm to fiber or farm to fabric. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I hope you would give me a thumbs up, and I hope that if you haven't subscribed, I hope you do already. Please leave a comment. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'll put the names of the books in the description below, and if you have any comments, I'll also put my email address. You can feel free to send me an email, and I'll also include my Instagram. You can send me a private message on Instagram. So thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to talking with you next time as we explore from farm to fabric. Thank you. Bye for now.